Okay, everybody, I have the honor today of being joined by Madeleine Knight, who plays Greta from Love, Death, and the Robots, Episode 7, Beyond the Aquila Rift. Madeleine, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you, Steve.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy because I'm in New York right now, and I'm talking to you all the way in London, so it's awesome that you did this for
hmm
me. So the thing I really want to know about this is, how did a part like this come about for you? Did you have to audition for the role?
I did, yeah, I did. That was quite a while ago now because we filmed everything in November 2017. So I think my audition was October that year or something like that.
Was it like a voice audition, or did you have to actually be in person and act out in front of them?
No, it was a person-to-person audition. I went in to see Christina Edley, who was the casting director on this, lovely lady. And I had two auditions. But because it's such a big project, we weren't able to know anything about the project whatsoever.
Oh.
So we basically got given two scenes and a very quick character breakdown of like sort of an idea of what the character was, and the rest you just had to go for it. So, I mean, in some ways it was good because you don't get too stressed out about the nature of like the massiveness of the project. So you don't get too nervous, too pressured, too excited, and don't get too disappointed if you don't get the role. So that's good. But we did have very little to go on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, in that case, when you did get the role and got the news, did they tell you then that, like, okay, this is a David Fincher, Tim Miller project, it's going to be on Netflix, or how did that go about?
Well, I didn't actually find out until the first day of filming,
Oh.
which is interesting because we all hadn't signed our NDAs until then, non-disclosure agreements. So I just come off the back of another job, which was Pulled Up, which I think you have in the States as well.
Yes.
Starring Aidan Turner. Yeah, you've got it. So that's like a proper big period drama. So I just literally finished that job, and I arrived at Paddington Station with my suitcase, going like, I'm ready to work. What's the job? So I met the directors Maxime Luer and Dominique Boudon there, and then we had this train ride up to Oxford, where the audio motion studios were that we were filming in, where none of us were allowed to talk about the project. But as soon as we got there and signed the contract, not the contract, the NDAs, all of the news came out, and obviously everyone was super excited, and obviously these guys are absolutely epic, and I spent my childhood watching all their projects, so yeah, it was surreal. Really
Wow.
exciting.
So, also, at this point, when did they let you know, too, like, oh, we're also going to use your actual face for the animation? Like, that's crazy enough to me.
I mean, yeah, it was crazy. I knew that they were using my actual face because obviously they had to use the way my face emotes and all that sort of stuff. We were filming with huge headsets, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. But what I didn't know was the likeness that there was going to be, because at that point they weren't clear on how stylized the avatar was going to be, because like the design was in its early stages. So I mean, it could have been anything. Like I could have been looking extremely different from what I actually looked like, but seeing it, I was absolutely shocked and amazed, like how like myself it is. It really was amazing, and a testament to the talent of those people at Unit Image who were working on it for months and months.
Yeah, I mean, when I watched this episode, I had never seen you before, so I didn't know, too. I was like, are these created faces by just characters they made, or are these real actors and actresses? And I looked up your name, and I was like, oh, my God, like, this is amazing. Like, it really looked human. It didn't even look animated. Like, it really was spectacular. So, like,
mental, isn't it?
yeah, and so when you're explaining this headphone thing you were wearing, was there, like, something, like, scanning your face at the same time? Was there any body acting involved to this, or was it just voice?
Right, so not just voice work, it's very, very different. So it's a Mocap process. So basically in that process, the actors are dressed from head to toe in black suits, which are then you have reflective balls that are velcroed onto these black suits, but in sort of your key skeletal areas and your joints. So then you go onto the set, which is basically like a large hangar with huge steel frames around you that all hang off infrared cameras, and they pick up on these reflective balls so they can capture your motion, as it is motion capture. So that was what was doing, like capturing our bodies, and then we had these huge headsets, serious cutting edge technology that were flown over from the States, and they're on our heads, and we had like lights shining in our faces, and they were picking up all of the emotions that were being shown whilst filming our face and also filming our voice. So all of the voice work was actually done in situ, in the rehearsal on set, as it were. So the only bits that were done as your quintessential voice work was when we did the dubbing for some of it that wasn't particularly clear. So at that point we went over to Paris and did the taping for that. But that was actually quite a small percentage of the script that we had to do that for.
So you would say then it was more like recording any other TV or film work you've done where you were actually in the room with the other characters and there's a director on set, but you guys are wearing these suits. Is that basically, wow, that is, see, I wouldn't even know that watching it, wow.
It was so amazing to me because I've got a background in theatre as well as screen, and it was, for me, it was a real mix between doing theatre and film acting. So because you're in this space with very like little props, like for the surge tank and stuff, there's a wooden block with some steel against it that you can lean on and all that sort of stuff. Your props are very rudimentary as well with little reflective balls on them. So it felt like being in a theatre rehearsral space, yet it was all being filmed. So
wow, that is
all of
crazy.
your acting is a lot smaller, and it's, you know, cause, I mean, obviously theatre acting and film acting is very different. Obviously the intention is the same, but it is slightly different. So it was a real mix between the two, and I actually really enjoyed it because if you're on set with all of the film set there, and then it's your shot, then it's very much like the pressure is on. Right. Whereas all of the shots were being taken, but it still felt like we were in rehearsal. Right. It actually probably worked out extremely well.
Sure, yeah. It probably loosened you guys up more, right? Yeah. So I feel like you had a very complicated character to play, and obviously with the reveal you being an alien, but you're also playing the simulation it's controlling of Greta. For a role like this, when you saw it, was there any movies or shows or characters you'd watched in previous media that maybe helped you prepare for this role, or did you kind of go in with your own idea? Like, how did that work?
I mean, I think, like, as I said, we didn't really have enough time. We started filming 2 seconds after finding out what the project was, and the script was still in formation in the first week, so there was still massive edits happening. So really, we only got like a real full feeling of the tone of it by the end of the first week, I would say, of filming. So that kind of preparation wasn't an option, really. I'm not quite sure what I would use if I had the chance again to watch, but I would probably go with just a simple romantic drama or something like that.
Right.
For me, a lot of this is a love story. Rather than looking at something that's similarly stylized, I don't think that would be of help. I don't think that would have been of any help, because that would just sort of mar your own thoughts of the actual script and what's on the page. And it's very important just to stay in what's on the page, I think.
Brilliant. Now, knowing this, that you kind of jumped into it, which is really crazy enough, did they let you know, though, like, hey, you're the alien in the end? Or did you kind of just know at first you're playing this girl, Greta?
Well, for the audition, I only knew about the Greta part, definitely. Okay. But obviously, when I saw the script on the first day, then, I knew that was going to happen, which was really interesting.
Right. So, so when you saw that, did you angle then, when you're playing this character of Greta, were you thinking in terms in your head of the alien, like being this alien, or was it easier for you maybe just to think of it being this Greta who was in Tom's life in the past?
I think I thought of it as an entity in whatever shape or form, but that entity, whoever it is someone who loves and wants to protect Tom. And I think Greta felt that way when they knew each other as well, so it was easy to sort of conjoin the two. When I was playing Greta, it was never just Greta. It was Greta with a plan or Greta with a secret, but I always played her with the best intentions for Tom.
Oh,
so yeah.
Okay.
I also saw her as kind of like a mystical seductress, somewhat like a mermaid who like saves shipwrecked sailors and then seduces them and then disappears, which I thought was quite nice. Yeah.
So for like a mystical character like that, that you see as an entity, which is really smart process, did you, in addition, create a backstory for maybe the alien in your head, or even just this woman Greta, but what she was like on Earth, or did you kind of just leave that be?
No, well, I think Henry Dewswaite, who played Tom marvelously, I might add, we definitely discussed the relationship between Greta and Tom and what that was beforehand, because obviously that's not in the script, but it's something that would massively inform the connection that we had together. So we definitely discussed their backstory, but in terms of the alien, not so much a backstory. I think I thought about what the alien stood for in terms of the story and the narrative, but, you know, I didn't think about if the alien had a rough childhood or where they grew up.
Yeah, sure. So speaking of that, running off what you're saying, do you think then this alien had good intentions here or bad intentions? Because some fans are skeptical that this alien really the whole time was just planning to eventually eat Tom and eat Susie and just eat whoever came to this planet. But I was someone who thought, no, it's just caring for these people and helping them, like, accept their reality. What was your kind of belief on that?
I mean, I really like that people had that interpretation, because I think that's what was great about this piece, is that different people could come away with different stories, things that relate to themselves that other people wouldn't, you know, taking from the story. And I think that's what makes a really good piece of art. But no, I wasn't in the camp that thought the alien was eating the people. I was definitely thinking the alien was a benevolent creature. And I took the words, you know, before the reveal, the words that Greta says to Tom, and I care for all of you lost souls, etc. I took those as truth, and I played them as truth, and I thought that was the words from the creature through Greta.
That is what I thought, and that's amazing to hear.
For the last scene as well, I thought it was really important that it was injected with some element of sadness, because for me, the character of Greta, or the creature itself, has just had this harrowing experience with Tom,
right,
when he wakes up and sees his actual reality. And she has to start the process all over again, remembering that experience, whereas Tom's completely oblivious. He can just turn off to it. But she's just been through that experience, and she's having to go through this on a roll over and over again. And that's quite an interesting thought, as well as, like, who's actually living in the hell, because Tom's being fed this simulation, but this creature seems to spend her entire life repeatedly experiencing the torment of the people that she's trying to protect. And I think I'd rather be Tom in that situation, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I see that angle now. That's actually mind-blowing that you say that. So do you think then, like, yeah, in a sense, we all can just jump and look at Tom as the victim here, but yeah, you can look at it also as this alien suffering too. And do you think then, you thinking that this alien has good intentions, and that's how you played it, that the alien actually loved Tom, or was just comforting more in like a friendly way? How did you see that or play that?
No, I would call it love in a sort of wider sense, in a sort of almost like a godlike love of a larger entity with a lesser being, if that makes sense.
Right.
I mean,
totally.
I think the creature certainly loves Tom and all of these other lost souls. It certainly doesn't love Tom in the same way Greta loves Tom, though. Clearly.
Right. Okay, so do you think also with all, you know, that last line she's referencing all these lost souls, that she's been through this before, do you think these are all just like failed attempts at doing this and that she just keeps trying, or they just eventually die? Like, how did you look at that when she was saying that line?
I personally think that this planet is littered with these crash travelers, and either just the character of Greta, the creature that becomes Greta, is looking after all of these lost souls, or she's got a whole load of other alien colleagues that are doing the same thing. But yeah. I do think, and I thought and obviously this is my interpretation, and as I said, everyone's got their own interpretation, so there's no right and there's no wrong in this. But I thought when I saw it, when Tom wakes up, that they are slowly withering away. And I think that what Greta, the creature, is doing is just making his final moments on her planet more palatable as he withers away. Do you see what I mean? So
yes.
he'll eventually go, but he'll be in this dreamlike state that makes it easier for that to happen. And I like the idea of lost souls as well, because it really implies that they're somewhere so completely different to where they came from that not even their souls have the chance of returning to the plane on which they can possibly exist, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally.
So we think of souls being the only thing that can exist past our physical being. But
right.
The idea of being in such isolation that even the soul can't exist, that really takes it to another like hell-like, limbo-like place, which is really quite disturbing.
No, yeah, is really no. That's deep. That's heavy. I like that. And yeah, I felt like it visually looked like that too at the end, and really added to the shock of the whole episode. To be honest, so at the end, I was
Oh
reflecting.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and what did you feel though? Like when the audience takes this all in, it has a big twist, which people loved. What did you feel like this episode's message was? Like, what was it trying to tell? Like, what do you think?
I don't think there is one message, and I wouldn't say it was a message. It's more that there are questions that it lays out and themes that it touches on. But again, these will be different for everybody. But it certainly, for me, provokes a huge number of metaphysical questions, such as like reality, existence, being. You know, you can really question your own reality after this, and how do we know it's real, and how many possible other planes are there for us to exist on. I think there's also questions about the importance of close relationships to our existence as a whole, and are these connections what makes life worth living in total? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, like right now, I'm actually questioning if I'm really interviewing you, or is this Madeleine
Exactly.
the alien? You could be an alien I'm talking to right now, and I don't know.
Exactly. I'm an alien.
Yeah, no, I totally mean. I get it though.
I came away with a sort of a mini existential crisis about like the cyclical, repetitive nature of life and dying in isolation, which was quite joyful.
Yeah.
But I do think it does aim to disturb a lot. So
yes.
I think a lot of other people might have felt that.
Absolutely. So last question I had for you too is just curiosity. Any point during filming or even after, did you read the book it was based on, Beyond the Aquila Rift, the same title?
I did afterwards, and I really recommend anyone reading it. Certainly the Lost Souls scene is really beautifully written. And actually the whole short story collection by Alistair Reynolds is worth a read, because Xeno Blue, another one of the films, is also from that collection.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's
have a read.
Yeah, got to. And also I was going to say, I feel like for you, for people in general, that a big dream a lot of people have was one day to be now in a Netflix show, or one day to have a video game character created out of them. And I feel like you hit two birds with one stone here. And I feel like, that must have been so cool too, like to your family and friends to be like, that's me. Like that's an animated version of me in possibly the best technology out there to see it, like that was that a crazy experience just like watching it or seeing it with friends, or how did that feel?
Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, my friends have absolutely loved it, and my family. I don't think my dad was completely comfortable watching it. I think what he did was watch a little bit and then close his eyes for a bit and then watch the end of it.
Smart.
But I've had loads of messages from friends going like, what is this?
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Now,
fantastic.
I did see in a lot of episodes of Love, Death, and Robots, people are calling for like, hey, let's make like its own series for it, like its own standalone series. Could you see Beyond the Aquila Rift something that would be like, hey, we could do a couple episodes of this? Would you be interested in that? Like, is that something?
Oh my God! Like, I know that people at Unit Image had way more stuff that they wanted to put in, because the story is really fit for a feature length. So there would be no problem in doing that, and certainly the enthusiasm on all sides would probably be through the roof. But we shall just see.
Yeah, let's cross our fingers. Is there any social media you guys want us to follow, like Twitter, Instagram? Can we find you on that?
Yeah, you can find me on that. That is at Miss Madeleine K on both Twitter and Instagram.
Awesome. Okay. Madeleine, thank you so much for coming on. I'm truly grateful for it. You were fantastic in the role. It was such a pleasure.
My pleasure.
Yes, it was so great talking to you.
Thank you so much. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you. Have a great day, and I hope to see you in more stuff soon.
Thank you very much. Bye now.